Hey guys, I'm Logan of Low-Scene Clockworks. Let me show you a really common issue with cuckoo clocks that have a music movement. Listen to the song as it plays. Hear that ticking? Tick, tick, tick. It's not the pendulum. It only happens when the song's playing. So I'm going to flip the clock around and show you what's going on there. So right here, that little line, that is a crack. Let me show you. As soon as that line goes by, every time it goes by up here, it's going to tick. So that gear right there is made out of plastic, and that plastic gear cracks like all the time. Constantly we get cuckoo clocks in where that's cracked. So all these older ones are made out of plastic and they all have that issue. It's a press fit plastic gear, which is doomed to fail eventually. And so let me show you a couple things real quick, then we'll go back to the other view. So whenever this is cracked, we tend to need to rebuild these music movements anyway. So let me show you how you can test that. I'm going to hold this air governor still, this flappy thing here. It's called the air governor. I'm going to hold that still and try to get it out of the camera shot. And then I'm going to wiggle this big gear back and forth. Now, you see that gear here and then this one here are going to bounce back and forth. And you particularly want to look down in here. This shaft that goes through the plastic gear, it goes down, it goes down in here. And if you watch that, that shaft will bounce back and forth too. Now, this one really is not bad. I wouldn't overhaul it if it weren't for that cracked gear. But since we're gonna get to that gear anyway, we might as well do everything. A lot of times they'll move a lot worse than that, a lot more than that. And that means that those holes have gotten wallered out. Now, another thing to look for is this comb right here. So that is what actually gets plucked to make all the notes. And if any of those teeth, there's a 20-something teeth or 30-something teeth, depending on the movement. If any of those teeth get broken off, then those notes will not be there anymore. And usually these combs are really hard to find, if not impossible to find, and so they can't be replaced. So if you do that test and you see that shaft flopping a bunch, or you see that second gear there wiggling a whole lot, then that tells you that this needs to be rebuilt. However, if you see some of those comb teeth are missing, then there's not a whole lot you can do most of the time. So if that's the case, you probably have to replace the entire music movement assembly. But if those comb teeth are okay, you can actually rebuild everything else. So that plastic gear we can actually repair so that it won't crack again. Sometimes you can replace them, but if not, you can just repair that gear, and it shouldn't do that in the future. And then all those holes that get wallered out, causing those shafts to wiggle a lot, those can be replaced or repaired as well. We can bush those. So that overhaul of the music movement is a very technical job, so that's something that you'd want a very qualified repair shop to do, but it can be done. And so if there's a particular song that it has, you don't necessarily have to replace that music movement, because the only songs you can get nowadays that I know of are Edelweiss and Happy Wanderer. Those are kind of the two common cuckoo songs. But there are a lot of other songs out there that have been built in the past, and if you just replace it, you don't get that song back. You just get Edelweiss Happy Wanderer. And so a lot of times it is very advantageous to rebuild the movement instead of replacing it. So that's an option there if that happens. So if you hear that ticking sound, then check for that crack. The first symptom is you'll hear that ticking, and the next symptom is that eventually it'll just stop playing the music altogether. So that's something, like I said, is really common. Keep an eye out for that. And now you know what to do if you have that issue. Hope this helps, and you got this.